Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SW Metro official channel. The $5 million verdict against Kody Brown and Robyn Brown has sent shockwaves not only through the sister wives fandom but also through the wider world of reality television, as the court's ruling that they orchestrated a systematic heist against their own family represents the culmination of years of hidden resentment, suspicion, whispered accusations, and financial maneuverings that many had speculated about but few believed would ever be exposed under the harsh lights of a courtroom. When Judge Mary Ann Kellogg delivered her verdict, her words were searing, stating unequivocally that the pair had diverted funds, manipulated family trust structures, and exploited both personal relationships and business entanglements for their own benefit, thereby defrauding not just their co-wives and adult children but also indirectly misleading TLC viewers who believed they were watching a large plural family working together toward a common dream, and in that moment the carefully woven image of Robyn as the misunderstood fourth wife and Kody as the patriarch struggling to keep his family afloat completely crumbled, revealing instead a pattern of deceit that legal experts testified bore all the hallmarks of a deliberate scheme rather than mere financial mismanagement. The courtroom had been packed for weeks, with Christine, Janelle, and Mary appearing on separate days to testify, their statements each laced with years of pain, describing how they had contributed earnings from book sales, MLM ventures, cameo appearances, and even personal savings toward the Coyote Pass dream, only to discover through documents subpoenaed from banks and production companies that large chunks of those funds had been siphoned off into accounts controlled exclusively by Kody and Robyn, sometimes under the guise of family management expenses and sometimes concealed entirely under shell LLCs with names like Integrity Holdings and Brown Unity Enterprises, which the court found had no legitimate function except to route cash into assets that were later tied back to Robyn's name, including the infamous Flagstaff mansion whose mortgage payments were quietly subsidized with funds that, according to the financial trail, came directly from pooled Brown family accounts originally intended to pay down land and build individual homes for each wife. What made the case even more devastating was not merely the money involved but the betrayal embedded in every transaction, for Christine broke down in tears as she described how she had begged Kody to release even a portion of her investment so she could put a down payment on a smaller house after leaving the marriage, only to be told that there is nothing left, while Janelle testified that she had believed she was contributing toward a generational asset her children would inherit, but instead her careful budgeting was effectively underwriting luxury items for Robyn's children, from college tuition funds to vehicles, leaving her own kids, like Garrison and Gabe, scrambling for military service or odd jobs to support themselves. Mary, though more restrained in tone, provided perhaps the most damning piece of evidence when she revealed an email thread in which Robyn urged Kody to get Mary to sign off quickly before she rethinks this regarding a property transfer, a piece of correspondence that the judge characterized as showing clear intent to pressure and deceive, and when paired with bank records, it painted the picture of a couple who not only benefited disproportionately but actively strategized to deprive the others of access. The $5 million figure, according to forensic accountants, represented both direct misappropriation and the loss of potential equity the other wives could have accumulated had their funds been properly applied, a calculation that stunned even some skeptics who had long believed there was shady accounting but never imagined it reached millions, and the ruling further included language that barred Kody and Robyn from acting as fiduciaries for any shared ventures in the future, a legal slap that effectively stripped Kody of the authority he had so zealously guarded. In the aftermath, reactions poured in from all sides, with Christine triumphantly declaring outside the courthouse that the truth finally caught up with them, Janelle expressing quiet relief that at least my kids will see some justice, and Mary posting a cryptic Instagram story about light breaking through cracks, while Kody himself appeared defiant, telling reporters that the judge doesn't understand plural marriage and insisting he would appeal, though his fiery words were undercut by the visible strain on his face, his once proud curls now grayer, his bravado diminished, and Robyn weeping by his side, claiming they were misunderstood and that all I ever wanted was fairness, though fairness now had a $5 million price tag and a legal seal declaring them guilty of betraying the very family they had publicly claimed to cherish. The fallout promises to be immense, not only financially, as the judgment requires liquidation of certain assets including potentially portions of the Flagstaff mansion and other holdings, but also reputationally, as TLC executives now face the uncomfortable decision of whether to continue a show whose central patriarch has been legally branded as deceitful. And while some insiders suggest that the scandal might ironically boost ratings, others argue that the damage to the brand of sister wives is beyond repair, because fans tuned in originally to see a unique family struggle toward unity, not to watch the unraveling of a systematic heist. And what makes the saga resonate is how it intertwines money with emotional betrayal, because what is $5 million compared to the years of trust shattered, the dreams dashed, the children left questioning whether their father valued them less than the newest set of siblings, and the wives forced to face the reality that the man they once trusted with their futures had secretly been tightening the noose of financial control around them while smiling for the cameras. And yet, perhaps the greatest irony of all is that in trying so desperately to secure their own fortress, Kody and Robyn may have lost everything: credibility, unity, and now even the tangible wealth they sought to hoard, because with the verdict their assets will be redistributed, their accounts scrutinized, their every move legally monitored, ensuring that no matter how loudly they protest, the court has branded their legacy not as one of love or faith but of theft and manipulation, a cautionary tale that reality TV fans and legal scholars alike will dissect for years as the quintessential example of how public personas can hide private corruption until the scales of justice finally, inevitably, tip. The sensational headline, the $5 million verdict, judge rules Kody Brown and Robyn ran a systematic heist against their own family, reads like a tabloid fantasy, a dramatic culmination of every criticism leveled by fans of the long-running reality series Sister Wives. While no such legal judgment exists, the premise taps into a powerful narrative that has unfolded on screen for years, a narrative of fractured trust, financial disparity, and the emotional fallout of a plural family structure collapsing under the weight of perceived favoritism and mismanagement. To explore this fictional verdict is to dissect the very public unraveling of the Brown family, imagining a scenario where the simmering tensions boiled over into a court of law, alleging not just emotional neglect but calculated financial harm. This hypothetical case would not emerge from a vacuum, it would be built upon a foundation of observable events, questionable decisions, and the heartbreaking testimonies of Mary, Janelle, and Christine Brown, who collectively could be portrayed as plaintiffs alleging a breach of fiduciary duty, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and a pattern of financial manipulation amounting to a systematic heist orchestrated by Kody and his legal wife, Robyn. The cornerstone of the plaintiff's case would be the family's complex and often opaque financial structure. For years, the Browns presented themselves as a single economic unit, with all income from the TLC show, family businesses, and individual endeavors flowing into a communal pot. This principle of one big family was the bedrock of their spiritual and practical lives. The prosecution's narrative would argue that Kody, as the de facto patriarch and manager of the family's assets, and Robyn, as his most influential advisor, gradually subverted this principle. The alleged heist would not be a single, dramatic robbery but a slow, methodical diversion of resources. The first major piece of evidence would be the family's abrupt flight from Las Vegas. The decision to uproot 4 established households from their paid-off homes was, according to the plaintiffs, financially catastrophic. They had built equity, secured stability, and were content. The sudden pivot to Flagstaff, driven by Kody's vague notions about catastrophe and, as alleged by Janelle, Robyn's desire to have her eldest son, Dayton, close to his college, forced the family to liquidate their assets in a down market. The Vegas homes sold at a loss after a frustratingly long period on the market, wiping out a significant portion of their collective equity. This move, financed by mortgages and loans, plunged the family back into substantial debt, a debt that was collectively held but, the plaintiffs would argue, primarily benefited Robyn's branch of the family by aligning with her personal priorities. The financial strain of the Flagstaff move would be Exhibit A, but Exhibit B would be the glaring disparity in resource allocation once they arrived. The most damning evidence would be the purchase of the $900,000 home on Coyote Pass, the family's sprawling, undeveloped property meant to be their plural paradise. While the family struggled to afford rentals and mortgages for the other wives, Kody and Robyn purchased a lavish mansion, complete with a pond, a separate studio for Robyn, and an overall standard of living visibly superior to that of Mary, Janelle, and Christine. The plaintiffs would present a paper trail showing that family funds, including money from the sales of the Las Vegas homes and ongoing TLC income, were used for the down payment and upkeep of this property, which was deeded solely in Kody and Robyn's names. This act would be characterized not as an oversight but as the central maneuver of the heist, the conversion of communal property into a tenancy by the entirety, a form of ownership exclusive to married couples that would shield the asset from the other wives in the event of a split. For Janelle, who had contributed significantly to the family fund through her financial prudence and who dreamed of building a small home on the property, this was a profound betrayal. It effectively locked her out of the very land she had helped pay for, rendering her investment a mere subsidy for Kody and Robyn's estate.